Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Blaze casting presentation. I'm your host, Blaze Inferno, bringing you a game between Quantic and Na'Vi. It's part of the Defense 2 tournament, and going into the knockout stages, just ran these two teams up against each other, putting them there, and we got the American team Quantic, primarily anyways. Brax, I believe, is Swedish, but then we got Na'Vi, primarily from Ukraine, so they're well invested in those territories. They're very, I guess you can't really say West versus East, since definitely a lot of people consider most of Europe to be considered Western, and in that sense, I guess you consider Western styles, but it's definitely going to be the Euro style versus the American style, kind of more the stable Na'Vi, just all known to go all out on their push phase, just put a lot of pressure really quickly, accumulate tons of gold from the towers, and just mobilize to end the game before it reaches the late game stages in general. I mean, they still have a very good carry player, host, but overall, they're just very well known for those 20-minute racks and etc. But Quantic definitely knows how to deal with that. They've played against it quite a bit, not only in the American scene matchmaking, I'm sure, but also in the tournaments as they face Na'Vi not too long before. So overall, they're going to be banning out some carry heroes for sure, or some pusher heroes for sure, and kind of find a strategy that'll work to deal against that. Now, I do like Quantic as far as their style is very kind of unique, original. They do pick up some interesting pickups. I mean, it's all going to be high tier heroes no matter what. But overall, they are going to be picking some unconventional stuff, hopefully, and that'll be a lot of fun. As far as jumping into the draft goes, you're looking at Nature Prophet. Obviously, pretty much just taking that off the board, making sure Light of Heaven can't get his favorite hero, just backdooring, pushing, and pressuring all across the board while being able to gank. Very mobile and very frustrating to deal with. Then the ban's coming out from Puppy. He's bringing off the Shadow Demon and the Naga Siren. Just two very, I mean, they're not even categorically similar at all, but the Shadow Demon, very powerful lane support that provides a lot of utility. Might be showing that Havos might be looking at an Anti-Mage pickup, because Shadow Demon is a very strong counter to that Anti-Mage. The Naga Siren band coming out, kind of indicating that they don't want to have to deal with the Song of the Siren, have to do that ultimate. And a good band, counter band, the Lycan band. Some might consider this a given, but you have to make sure that you realize if the Naga Siren is banned out, and you give them the Lycan, because Na'Vi does have first pick in this circumstance, then they actually can get that Lycan. There's no hero that you have to counter it with, because, well, relatively no. I mean, Naga Siren, her ensnare is pretty much the best thing you can do against Lycan specifically, and the fact that he's off the board now is very important for the draft setup. But interestingly enough, these Shadow Demon, Naga Siren, and Nature's Prophet bands, I wouldn't consider them throwaway bands necessarily. They're very high tier heroes, but they're not generally going to be the superior choices for a lot of setups. So it's leaving a lot of picks open for the early game, and you even seen a Panda get banned out. So that definitely, I mean, he brings a lot to the table with his ultimate and everything, but overall, what their Puppy's really trying to do is make it so that his second and third picks can be just as strong as his first pick, leaving a lot of very high tier heroes open, and just kind of getting those obligatory picks up. So, as far as what we have on the board, we have Enigma, Darkseer, Leshrac, Invoker, and there's a Darkseer pickup right off the bat, covering that up, and they do, I mean, he's one of those heroes that is so powerful if played in the right hands, and it definitely can be played in the right hands. I'm not sure if the stand is going to pick that up in AA's place, Arzart, or if Light of Heaven might want to pick him up, but overall, he is just a very powerful hero, not only with his early game Ion Shell pressure, but also with the Vacuum into Wall of Replica, which can set up a lot of powerful AoE ultimates, magic damage, and also set up a lot of physical damage with those illusions that fight, pretty much turn the tide of your items right back at you, and it's very difficult to fight against that without relocating the fight altogether. But the Invoker and the Leshrac get picked up. Very good pickups for Painted Gold. Both very powerful skilled casters. You might see like a Night Stalker or maybe something like that go to counter these guys, because they do utilize them a lot of mana. For that matter, Pugna might be good, but I wouldn't see that in the second or third, or the next two picks, because overall there's just so many great heroes still on the board. Like I said, Chaos Knight's a really great pickup, and they just have a number of really high tier heroes that they can choose from and use that. I would love to see like the Chaos Knight. I mean, AA is not playing, so I guess he can't use his his namesake hero. It's not his namesake, obviously. His name stands for Ars Art, but I like to think of the fact that Ancient Apparition, AA playing AA, sounds really fun. But they actually go with the Tinker and the Chaos Knight. A very interesting pickup of these two, because they're both kind of item-reliant heroes, but there's so many supports left on the board. The one thing that was not banned out at all, except with the exception of the Shadow Demon, was support. And so they're easily going to be able to pull out like a Venomancer, a CM, a VS, whatever. I mean, they can get a lane support to cover that, and then maybe a Lena to go with the Chaos Knight or an Ancient Apparition, like I was saying before. But that's going to be allow them to get their carries out of the way, and now they can actually ban really well on the carries against Team Quantic here, assuming they don't pick up like a Morphling or something in their third pick. But yeah, Invoker, Lishrak, and with the Tinker and the Chaos Knight, I was wrong. Havo's not looking at picking up the Anti-Mage, probably going to be playing that Tinker. Could play the CK, but I generally think that's more, he's not as dedicated to roaming and ganking in general, so that might be something that Dendi might want to pick up, or the stand-in perhaps. Let It Heaven also plays a mean Tinker, so we'll have to see who picks up that Darkseer in order to know who's going for the Tinker. But overall, that leaves a lot open for the Radiant Team Quantic. Looking at who they can set up, get Korok to pick up a really heavy farming hero that can, scale well into the late game. That's really what they want to utilize, not only with the Invoker, the fact that he scales really well with that experience gain, but also looking at whatever they can get as far as a carry type hero. They know that the carry events are going to be coming, so definitely a good key to pick up the third pick as a carry, and that's where Morphling comes in. And that's one hero that Korok plays amazingly well, as do many carry players, because he's just so versatile. He farms extremely well, he split pushes really well, he's very survivable, very escapable, if that's a word, which most likely isn't. But anyways, he scales really well into the late game. And if he goes for the E-Blade, he can go for a very aggressive play towards the mid game, or he can also build for just pure auto attack damage and just wreak a lot of havoc in the later stages of the game. Lincoln Sphere will also be pretty good against the Blind from Tinker and the Stun and or Reality from Chaos Knight. So overall, I definitely think it will be building a Lincoln's over an E-Blade. At least that's what I would do. But Korok has played both plenty of times, and it's kind of hard to say what's going to be going. As far as who's going to be picking up the two heroes that are on the board already, trying to remember Quantic's playstyles. I think either Painted Gold or Brax will most likely be picking up the Invoker, and probably the same with the Lishrak. I remember Mikey being much more of a supportive player. I guess maybe a support Lishrak could come out supporting the Morphling, and that could be in the realm of Mikey or Matrim. But it might be a kind of a 4 protect 1 type style coming out of Team Quantic. I mean, the Invoker will kind of do his own thing for a while, not being too supportive, kind of just focusing on getting that dominance in the solo mid lane. But overall, it's still going to be a focus on making sure that Morphling gets as much farm as possible, as fast as possible, and opt for more presence in the later stages of the game. Because, yeah, like I said, a survivable. If you go for E-Blade against these three heroes alone, you're going to get bursted down so hard it's not even funny. I mean, you get that increased magic damage received, then suddenly you're eating a Chaos Bolt accompanied with a Blind and Rockets. It's just not what you want to deal with. So overall, I think Morphling should definitely go for a much more survivable build, and that means they're going to be focusing on later stages of the game, after 30 minutes, etc. So we'll see what they want to go with. And we still don't have a Puppy support. He has to pick up something. The Chen got banned out in the banning stages. Actually, not really been paying too much attention to the bans. Like I said, a lot of supports getting banned out here. Chen, Enigma, Sand King, and Crystal Maiden. Just powerful team fight ultimates from the Enigma and from the Sand King. Taking those out, and then the Chen and Crystal Maiden as early game supports. Enchantress is still on the board if Puppy wants to look at that. They have to speak the devil. So the Chen is banned out. There's nobody going to be stealing her creeps, specifically Holy Persuasion versus Enchant. Puppy will have complete control of dominance of the neutrals there, and will be able to be very mobile in a kind of a ganking situation when it comes to his jungle. And specifically, if Tinker wants to solo bottom lane, then we'll be able to do so. And Enchantress will be able to cover that up really nicely with Darkseer on the top lane suiciding. Or actually, I screwed those lanes up because they are dire. Sorry about that. So reverse that. Darkseer on bottom, Enchantress doing dire jungle with Tinker farming solo top, and then Chaos Knight and a support mid. Hopefully somebody that can capitalize on his Chaos Bolt, like a Lich, a Ancient Apparition, something like that. And yeah, there's the AA. Okay, as far as the Venomancer pickup, although I think he's a really good support and can do a lot of damage with that Lishrak, whether through Edict or just landing a Split Earth really easily. I am afraid of the fact that Darkseer does have that Surge, which kind of negates a lot of the benefit of Venomancer. That powerful slow, since it isn't a stun, if you can bring him back up to maximum movement speed with that Surge, can actually, it's really going to be hard to shut him down. So if it's Darkseer suiciding against the tri-lane of like Leshrac, Venomancer, Morphling, then overall Darkseer is going to have a perfectly fine time of it. He just has to surge out fast enough that he won't have to worry about the Split Earth, and if he can manage that, he won't have any issues in that lane in general, and we'll actually be able to get some farm. Interesting pick up the Vengeful Spirit. That must mean that we're going to see a solo Leshrac, because honestly, I really can't, unless they want to do a 2v2 situation in middle lane, because they know that Chaos Knight, Ancient Apparition is going to go for mid. Dendi actually picking up the Chaos Knight, so yeah, and Havos going for the tanker. And probably, of course, on the Enchantress, the standard is going to go for the Ancient Apparition. Brax is going for the Invoker, which with this lineup, and we got Mikey Matron pick up, I'm going to say that Painted Gold is going to pick up the Leshrac, and Korok is going to pick up the Morphling, definitely. But overall, how they want to lane it, if they want to do a 2v2 situation in the middle lane, could be potent, depending on how they want to run that specifically. But otherwise, they're going to be looking at Invoker solo, which might be a bad time for him. Overall, CKA is kind of a counter as far as Invoker's laning situation. He really can't get out of too much that they bring to the table. Overall, along with that, don't really have a suicide laner, so again, I'm thinking this 2-2-1 setup where they have like a solo top against a Darkseer might be the most applicable. So maybe Darkseer versus Morphling in the top lane, and then trying to think. I got the pause coming out, so do have plenty of time to talk about that specifically. Washroom, bathroom break. But overall, you could see like a roaming Vengeful Spirit along with an Invoker mid, and then a Morphling Leshrac top, and a I don't know, because they're going to leave somebody with a short end of the stick on bottom lane. That's not what they want to do, especially against a Puppy Enchantress. Just not what they want to do at all. So overall, I think that these picks, that Na'Vi has a lot more early game presence, which, you know, that goes right on with their style, and then Quantic has definitely the potential to go much better in the late game, assuming they can hold on and just trade evenly for the majority of the early game. So we'll be coming back into the game for just a little bit, but yeah, Puppy going to be doing a lot of gank action, probably pick up Smoke first, look at controlling the top lane. If there's nobody on top specifically, then he's just going to transition to mid, and I would hate to see somebody getting hit by a Chaos Bolt with an Ancient Apparition and an Enchantress all over them. It's just not going to be fun for that middle lane individual. So Brax wielding his little cosmetic item, the Exhort Invoker, probably going to be picking up mid, but they do have the option of doing a dual mid against the 2 in mid as well. So we'll see that in no time whatsoever. But interestingly enough, I would say that one disadvantage of Quantic's team is they're actually rather vulnerable as far as one would say even squishy, and the fact that they have so many support type heroes. I mean, Venomancer doesn't have even 500 base health, 450 for Vengeful Spirit, Leshrac same thing, and I mean, Invoker and Morphling do a little bit better there, but overall, it's going to be rough on them. So we'll have to see if they can make it out of that stage where Tinker's rockets are the most powerful. If they can survive through that, overall, get a mech, get a pipe, something like that, they will be in a much better situation. But right now, all their strategy is built into 4 Protect 1ing on the Morphling, just kind of making sure that he can get as much farm as possible, and after that, hopefully just winning so hard in the mid game that they won't be bursted down really quickly. But because otherwise, if you can see like a vacuum Darkseer into an Ancient Apparition ult with CK illusions and Tinker rockets flying out, it's going to burst people down really, really hard, and that's going to be just a lot of pressure and damage, pure damage coming out from Na'Vi against this relatively squishy Quantic team. So Quantic is actually ready at this point, and so they are going to do the unpause. And we'll see exactly what they want to do as far as shaping up for lanes. But actually, Enchantress going for Basilius might be looking at a suicide lane herself. I don't know. She definitely wants to push towers really quickly is what she's expressing with that. They might be doing a tri-lane on the bottom lane with Dendi, Ancient Apparition, and Puppy on the Enchantress. And then Havost could go solo top and Light of Heaven solo mid, or something along those lines. A little bit weird. Not what I expected at all, but it definitely could work if they want to focus on getting those tower pressure like they always do. They can build CK as just kind of a pusher with those Phantasms, but a lot of action going to be coming up. 5v5 here. The Morphling dragging a little bit behind. He's their most of their damage. If CK can start off with the Chaos Ball, he does throw it out. Invoker has absolutely nothing for them. Double Gale going off, but Ancient Apparition throwing some stuff down, and the Iron Shell just tearing through. Rockets going across, and Mikey's just got to get out of there. He's taking so much damage over time from this Ion Shell. They cannot slow him down, but Morphling, Korok doing a lot of damage here. Dendy's going to have another Chaos Ball and just another, actually he needs mana for it. He is out of mana for it. Let him fall him back, and looks like actually just about everybody's going to survive. Invoker got cornered. Dendy walked around with an Ancient Apparition. Darkseer is going to draw the first blood with the Iron Shell that went on Dendy. So they're going to try to take that and leave if they can, but a lot of action. Still, Dendy has a lot of damage with that Iron Shell, and it is 5 versus 3 technically, if you're looking at the out of position Pain of Gold. And so with the Salves and everything, I think they're going to fall back, but they might be looking for something. They do not have Enchant. They do have the Nature's Attendants specifically, so it's going to be interesting. Dendy gets caught out with a 2-second stun from the Split Earth, but they're not going to be able to gale it, and they're going to fall back. Haste Rune available for whoever wants to pick it up, and then they're going to shape into the lanes. But nice first blood from the Darkseer onto the, I forget, the Invoker. But yeah, the one thing that's really frustrating about Invoker play is while he's great in the lanes, he doesn't have a single spell for that 5v5 level 1. So if you do go into your own jungle and the Na'Vi decides to counter you and go straight up to you, then he has absolutely nothing to do in that fight but regenerate a little bit of HP over time. He has no invocation, and he can't cast a single spell. Now Dendy and the Ancient Apparition going for the mid lane against Korok with this Venomancer roaming around and trying to cover him up. So it is going to be a dual lane of Venomorph, which is a very powerful dual lane, trying to do some damage to the Ancient Apparition. With this waveform, actually will be able to bring him down. He just has nowhere to go. And deny, oh my gosh, nice deny by Dendy. Very well played. And he's going to get the, wow, the cold feet off, and he got killed by the creeps. Very nice right off the bat by Dendy, denying the Gale. And then he went for the cold feet. The Morphling stuck around, and Dendy was able to get a kill. So another amazing trade for them. It says 1 and 2, but honestly, they didn't get any gold whatsoever out of that. And Dendy just got another kill on his hands. So he's 101 technically. 2, yeah, no, he didn't get the first kill. Obviously, Darkseer did. But overall, just applying that pressure and being a bit of a team killer, but that's a good thing in this game. In this context, Light of Heaven, stopping this creep stack action with some rank 1 Ion Shell, putting out a lot of damage here, but now he's taking a lot of damage. Stun come in. He has to surge out as fast as he can. He does have a couple tangos left, and they don't have the damage to bring him down. A couple auto attacks. He does have that Stout Shield, and that allowed him to tank up just enough damage and was able to survive. Did lose some golden experience to the neutrals, but not too much. He does have to get some kind of regen coming up to him really quickly, though. In the middle lane, is a Bottle coming up? Yeah, Soul Ring and a Bottle both coming up. Are they both intended for Dendy? Because if so, that's awesome. But I think Ancient Apparition, one of those got to be him, because he didn't pick up much in the early start as far as starting items go. Korok really needs to start focusing on getting as much farm as possible. He can't really swap too much Agi because this potential stun coming in combo from with the Chaos Bolt and the Ancient Apparition. Generally speaking, if you get a 2-second stun with the Chaos Bolt, then you get an instant Cold Feet, especially if the Cold Feet's been on them for 4.5 seconds. But if they don't time it perfectly, then actually 3-second stun is what has to be required, because the Morphling can always waveform away. So that's really, it depends if they're hitting the Venomancer or the Morphling. If they can shut down the Morphling early, it's going to be amazingly effective for them. Light of Heaven, playing very ballsy. He picked up for the Soul Ring. He picked up the Ring of Regen. Great choice for that. We'll give him plus 2.9 regeneration, which is exactly what he needs to stay in the game. Ion Shell active, and he can actually push back the lane with that if he chooses to. But Paint just trying to farm up while the Vengeful Spirit covers him up. Dendy playing aggressively as he wants to. Not really too worried about this combo. The Morphling and Venomancer. Enchantress Creep coming in. He does do the Router Rift, but it is not in his favor. He gets pulled onto the tower, but that stun, just so much damage coming out. Enchantress going to pick up the kill. Now Morphling has to watch his health. He has the waveform available, so he should be fine, but it's still not the position he wants to be in right here. A third of his health being forced off the tower with this puppy coming in for a gank. Didn't even smoke up. There's just maybe I don't know. I don't believe he smoked up, but I might be mistaken. Overall, they do have this ward. The Radiant has this ward and should have seen him coming from pretty much any direction for the gank specifically, but Chaos Knight just pulling the Reality Rift, pulling him a bit to him. Not very lucky on it, but overall was perfectly the setup they needed to Chaos Bolt and get the Cold Feet with Chen Creeps. Illusion on Leshrac covering the runes very nicely, so that means that Who has the bottle? I guess it's going to be... Yeah, Chaos Knight picked up the bottle. Soul Ring went to some Tinker then. Okay, the Tinker's Soul Ring was on the Courier, and now bottle for Dendi on the Chaos Knight. Korok has a rank 2 waveform now, looking for a rank 5, but not going to be happening. He does have the level disadvantage right now. If you're looking at last hits, Tinker farming the best up on the top lane, Havos playing that, and then Leshrac covering the bottom lane. Not too big a deal there. Light of Heaven happy to just give him a little bit of farm in exchange for solo experience, which will be devastating much later on if you can get a rank 4 Ion Shell action with some vacuum, etc. Very powerful indeed. But overall, Chaos Knight just dominating this lane. Korok only allowed to have 8 last hits. That's very unfortunate for him. He wants that Aquila. He wants that early stats so that he can, survive in team fights and put out a lot of pressure. And right now, he doesn't have that option whatsoever. A lot of disable coming out from Navi's lineup, and it is very frustrating for him indeed. So, Courier bringing him some boots, and then Ancient Apparition immediately after the fact. So they're covering that up well, and Puppy just gets to farm in the jungle a little bit. Doing decently with the 12. Actually, not tornadoing middle or anything like that. So they aren't looking to push any towers at the moment, surprisingly. But they are happy to just get the farm from Havost, get that boots to travel pretty quick on him, and then get some kills with Dendi and their lineup there specifically. Tornado did come mid. Does have a +3 armor aura for all the creeps here. So they're going to benefit from that. A 1+5 with the Basilius that Puppy started off with, and they're going to be able to pressure the tower pretty quick here. Venom Wards do... well, okay, actually, Vengeful Spirit out of bad spot. Gets stunned. Going to get the Frostbite on him, and the Tornado's going to finish him off. Nice play there, but now Chaos Knight bottling up, trying to get... He has stick charges, and he'll be alright. Just barely. And now they're actually doing damage on Korok. He's trying to strength morph up, but if he can just get a little bit more damage on him... Puppy, nice stun coming out, and with this Tornado just wrecking so much damage torn into him, and Chaos Knight's going to get the last hit on that. Well played. Just barely playing exactly as they need to. It was perfectly executed, the intricacy of what they did right there. The fact that Gale was coming in this vector right here, and he was able to reality rift to the side, jumping onto the Vengeful Spirit, put him in such a perfect position that they were able to get 2 kills out of that for absolutely nothing. So, really nicely done there, and just kind of shows the individual player skills were quite exceptional in that encounter. Brax just kind of trying to cover up the middle lane, or the top lane. Actually has Ghostwalk invoked, assuming that maybe there might be a gank coming from the Enchantress at any point. Just wants to kind of play special form of Suicide Invoker, which means be ready to turn invisible at any point in time. But anyways, it does mean that he'll be having a little bit more trouble last hitting. Actually, 14 denies on the Tinker is actually really considerable. Brax's experience getting denied quite a bit comparatively. You're looking at level 5 versus level 7, not what he wants to see. And Enchantress kind of just doing some pressure there. Actually can possibly pressure the tower at this point in time. So, where is Dendi? He's TPing back to middle lane, and he is 3-3. So that's what he's going to be looking for next, is more action there. Morphling only level 4 versus the level 6 Dandy. Not what they want to see. And like I was saying, with this action, with the Tornado from the Wildkin, with the March of the Machines, they're able to do so much damage to this tower. They're going to have to fall back now or risk some damage, but the Satyr can tank a little bit more. Chaos Knight does get a kill. Janking on the Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit just trying to cover up the 8-minute rune, but they caught him out with this ward, and well played there. Now the Fortify does come out on top lane. Brax gets slowed down. He does have the Ghost Walk, though, and they don't have any detection, so he will be able to slow them down, but the Tornado is kind of sticking on top of him. Interesting. A Puppy. Okay, the Tornado does expire, so that's not going to be able to do much for him now, but they might be looking for a TP. Nope, they didn't even deny range, so they don't have to force the issue on the tower now, but who are we kidding? It's Na'Vi. They want to. They want to take this tower. Fortifies down, and they don't think Brax can get the deny on it, and because of that, yeah, easy kill for Enchantress on that tower. DD Morphling, trying to keep alive, but in this positioning, if this Dire ward was a little bit higher, they would have seen Matron, but I think they can kind of assume, and they almost got the Reality Rift so close, just a little bit more, and with that Gale, oh man, if he's juking in the trees, and he knows that the reinforcements are possibly coming with the TV scrolls, etc., so he's going to fall back onto Korok. He might do a turnaround here, stun coming out just 1 second, and they know Ancient Apparition is going to drop down. Dendi trying to get out of there. TP scroll, they don't have a Cold Snap available with the recent invocation from the Invoker. He's not level 7 yet, and Dendi doing a perfectly timed TP scroll. See, a lot of players would have been in a situation where they're like, okay, I have to run. But the fact of the matter is, Morphling's realistically, Morphling's level 5. He's not going to put a single point in Adaptive Strike because he needs those points in Morph. Invoker's level 6, and he just cast Tornado on you, so that means he cannot invoke anything else. And that implies that you are safe to TP scroll out of there, and Dendi just, it's almost second nature to him. Really pro there. Vengeful Spirit did get knocked out by Light of Heaven. They're doing a lot of pressure on the bottom lane now. Pain of Gold. I reversed that. Vengeful Spirit just took down Light of Heaven. Darkseer getting a little bit too in over his head, a little bit aggressive. He has that. He's working on that pipe. He has that Soul Ring, so he has pretty much unlimited health in general for spamming his abilities, Iron Shells, etc. But overall, it's not. He's not indestructible. He still can take quite a bit of damage. Has a maximum health of 815, and if they can burst combo him down with the Vengeful Spirit into Leshrac stun, if he doesn't have enough creeps around him, the Edict will just knock him down. Throw him for a loop. Nice ward action. Put Reality Rift put him in perfect position, but now does get stunned, and Edict by Leshrac does pop the wand, but cannot bottle out of it. But it is going to take down the Venomancer with the Ancient Apparition's Ice Blast. The Tinker Rockets were enough damage to bring him into the Shattered Threshold. Boots travel on the Tinker, exactly where he wants to be. You can see topping out last hits with 56. And even though they only have taken one tower, overall they're still dominating on farm at this point in the game. That's where Morphling has just been really shut down thus far. Doesn't even have his rank 4 waveform right now. If you can check his levels, I mean, Leshrac's got 3 levels on his own teammate, Morphling there, who is their carry, and upon which all their hopes are kind of lying right now. But overall, Dendi just happy to farm up, put a lot of pressure out. His KDA 2, 1, and 5. Doing really well there. He did get picked off for the first time down in Radiant Jungle just now, but overall just putting out a lot of pressure and just kind of showing how have a skill cap you can actually make these heroes. But now some action. Puppy invisible, trying to see if he can kind of take an opportunity to knock out maybe the Morphling. Okay, there's action. 4 seconds done. There's no coming out of this. He's completely out. Ancient Apparition just making sure, popping that ultimate so he can't strength morph out, and he's dropped down real quick. See, the Strength Morph does kind of, they changed the mechanic of it so that it's effectively a heal, and since Ancient Apparition's ulti makes it so that you cannot receive any healing, there's a lot of long tooltip there, but that's one of its effects. The Strength Morph only hurts you, and the fact that you reach the Shattered Threshold a lot faster. Tries Reality Rift out of the Split Earth, but it's not going to happen. Taking a lot of damage with the Poison Nova. He does get 3 seconds stun, but it's not going to keep him alive. Just too much damage coming out there. Now Leshrac at under half mana, clap on him, but he does get the stun off on Enchantress, and Puppy actually sacrificing himself there. Now Light of Heaven trying to surge in. Only has rank 1 surge. Could not vacuum it, unfortunately. Rank 2 vacuum. Pretty good range and radius, but just barely missed him. And Pain of Gold with the Gale, with the stun. Gonna put pressure out on him too. And just wrecking damage with this Pulse Nova. That was literally his entire mana bar in this middle lane encounter. Taking down 3 heroes. Chaos Knight, Dendi, Enchantress Poppy, and Darkseer. Light of Heaven. So overall, that does put them a little bit more back in the position they want to be. They were down by a couple hero kills, now they're up by 1. But they do keep on having to watch for this. Tinker has that Force Staff coming up for him in no time at all. Puppy been splitting experience pretty well in the jungle, and so I'm going to think they are definitely have this advantage. It's not as great of an advantage, swinging right back up to only maybe 1,000. 1,400 experience advantage, but it is definitely an advantage nonetheless. Probably the same thing with Gold Graph overall. Wait, that was the Gold Graph, my apologies. Experience Graph, that encounter right there swung it completely in the opposite direction. They were actually almost even right before that series of kills, and then in those last 3 kills, dropping down and being able to do a lot with it. And yeah, so there's that. Light of Heaven now transition to the jungle, trying to finish up his hood. Does not have any boots right now. Ancient Apparition going towards the bottom lane. Invoker, Rockets, Tinker Rockets, and going to drop him down. Nothing he can do about it. He's going to take just a little bit more, and he's going to... Actually, I thought it would bring him down, but he actually did not. As long as he didn't receive any more damage, which he did not, he actually was able to survive. So, a little unfortunate for him that he was at a threshold that he didn't have to worry about it. That Quaz regeneration just shown it. He couldn't regenerate HP during it, but he was regenerating HP all prior to it, and just by being a certain level of health, It just wasn't enough damage with his plus 9 HP regeneration. Now he should be teleporting towards tier 2 middle while they're pressuring the mid lane. Phantasm is going to be tanking up the tower in just a second here. They just want to try to bring it down, but there is a lot of teamfight action going on here. Dandy going in on Painted Gold, 3 seconds stun on him. They have to focus him down. He still has plenty of mana to use. Dandy actually in the trouble at this point, does not get denied. Action going on. Vengeful Spirit, she drops down really quickly. Paying it 10 charges on his magic stick, but he's not going to be able to defend this tower unless we get Teal coming in. Invoker, or Korok, sorry, has his rank 4 waveform, can do a lot of pressure back, and that's why Navi's falling back now. Light Heaven kind of split pushing, does have his hood. But overall, and Tinker's going to come to bottom lane and do March Machines there. What build did he hit? He went max for Rockets and max for March Machines. So he has a lot of push potential. If they stack the Ancients, which they most certainly did, it looks like 3 Ancient stacks. 3 sets of Ancients there. And Tinker can farm that up quite effectively with that maxed March Machines. And now Ancient Apparition is invisible, does have Urn, does have his rank 1 ultimate, and is ready to cause a lot of grief for this Venomancer right here. Pretty much if he walks right up to him, it pops his Urn on him, and his Ice Blast, he'll be pretty much automatically dead. There's no question about it. I mean, he can get quick support from Vengeful Spirit, but overall, Courier giving him some sentry wards and keeping up that ward situation. They've been really doing a really good job between Puppey and Arzart, or not Arzart, the stand-in for AA. You're looking at a lot of good ward coverage constantly and consistently, and it's been getting Dendy the opportunity to do some really good reality roughs and put out a lot of pressure there. More damage in towards the middle lane. He's going to be looking for an Ion Shell because he did burn his Soul Ring, but instead, not a big deal. Puppey healing, has rank 4 heal. A lot of heal coming out even with that Gale. And the Fortify does blow off, and if they can just do a little bit more damage pressure on this tower, it's down 137. They're perfect in timing their auto attacks, make sure it's not under 10%, and therefore he's not in deny range. And now he even bothering to enchant the little melee creeps just to make sure. Buckler pops, plus 2 armor across the board, and they're going to be pushing in on it and taking it down right here. Darkseer gets the last hit. Venom Ward's not even trying to deny it. Not that big of a deal, though. They just knew that they can't fight against that pressure. The whole thing about Navi is just putting pressure on you constantly, and the treads are going to be in here shortly for the Chaos Knight, followed possibly by Drum. And otherwise, they're just taking their time, farming really quickly. Havost going back to base, rearming up, soul ringing, and then being able to boost travel anywhere he wants. And now there is action on the middle tower here. Ancient Apparition ulti going wide, not hitting anything. Gale, yeah, nice hook by Dendy, pulling in with the Reality Rift and then stunning. A couple more seconds left on that, and with the vacuum, he should just need Rockets. Yeah, that's going to finish him off. And now no way for Invoker to survive either. There's a lot of stats with that Drum of Endurance, but they're just going to keep the chase. Dendy looking for Reality Rift, long range, pulling him in. 3-second bolt, and now he's going to drop down. Darkseer's Ion Shell doing a lot of damage, but he's taking a lot from Painted Gold. So much pressure from this rank 2 Pulse Nova, and he drops down quick. Now they're not going to be able to keep on top of him, unfortunately, and Dendy drops down again. So really, Painted Gold, I thought that Morphing was the key here, but honestly, Painted, with the damage from this Pulse Nova, doing 100 DPS is just tearing up, and he's almost got his Bloodstone because of it. Actually, if he goes to the shop right now, he can literally purchase Bloodstone by disassembling Arcane Boots, and that's probably what he'll look to be doing. And then possibly Phase Boots after that. Even picked up a Basilius. I generally don't do that on him, but it makes sense, a lot of sense, especially with all this physical damage. Korok finding a nice spot with, and he's not going to have a chance. He found a nice opening on this Tinker that he teleported to the lane, put himself in a bad spot. But I'll just say what's going on now with Dendy coming in trying to... Oh, Tornado does go up on Brax. EMP's going to finish off Arzart, or Ancient Apparition, sorry. Not the same player. But Brax just going for that Qual's Wex build, going for the Tornado, and trying to put that pressure out that direction. Rank 1 swap on Vengeful Spirit, etc. But what I was saying, yeah, so Korok and Leshrac actually gets a kill on middle lane, and there's no way to stun him out. So, nice play there, and now he definitely has his Bloodstone. And now they're actually pushing on and pressuring on bottom tower as well. The rank 4 wards applying that pressure and going to be able to bring it down. No Fortify available, no deny. Insight going to go down, and Invoker takes the last hit on that. So, but yeah, Korok pretty much saw that Tinker poured down, and he was not very high on HP from his encounter with the Venomancer. Korok was able to pick him off, but unfortunately, the Ancient Apparition ulti it didn't hit him, but it did scare him south, which allowed Darkseer to walk right up to him and finish him off. Luckily, they were able to capitalize on that after the Venomancer Guild, and kind of have a little bit back and forth there. I don't know what that swap was about. Oh, just Ancient Apparition. Out of position. Yeah, if you get that ulti, just get a little bit extra range on him, get in there, and you can actually do a lot of pain to them. But Pipe has finished up on the Darkseer now. The Poison Nova from Venomancer, along with the Pulse Nova from the Shrek. Nova's everywhere, but not going to do as much with this Pipe, absorbing a very large amount of damage. It is 400 spell damage, not including the 25% mitigation that is applied from base magic armor. And now Pain of Gold gets caught out. That's not what they want at all. A lot of experience going there. He was, I think, the highest level hero on the team with all the kills he'd been getting. No, Tinker was just above him, but a lot of gold distributing among Dendi and his friends there. Overall, Smoke did go off, but Light Heaven trying to get out of that situation purges the Surge, but there comes 18 Apparition's ulti coming in. He's just gonna wall Replica, try to get some damage in on him. It does not actually wall. He just does. He didn't have mana for it. He just did the vacuum in, and that's not gonna bring him down. Not enough damage. Vengeful Spirit does not drop. Now can earn if he so chooses, and otherwise they're gonna survive from it. Not what they want at all. Not in that situation. Pretty much Quantic doing a really nice staggering of their spells specifically right there. Pretty much once they caught Darkseer out, they got the Gale on him, forcing him to Surge, which allowed them to Tornado it, so the Surge was dispelled, and then he had absolutely no way of escaping from that situation. So, very good play by them as well. I was surprised at what he was doing. I'm like, that's the most aggressive waveform I've seen, and then he just replicated out by the end of it, so he's just doing a little bit kind of split push pressure. Didn't even get a last hit, maybe in the reach creep. And that's it. But overall, Puppey has his mech available, have the Pipe on Darkseer, and that's the team fight that they need. That's exactly where they want to be at 20 minutes in the game. And that means that the Pulse Nova from, like I said, the Venomancer cannot do much at all. And they can focus down the Leshrac as fast as possible. Bloodstone does give him HP, does give him HP regen, but it's not invincible. And until that BKB comes out, he's actually can be very vulnerable to a combination of spells, like the Chaos Knight's Chaos Bolt combined with Ancient Apparition's ulti. Can bring him down pretty quickly if the luck is with Dendi there. And the skill is with at the very least. But Poppy gets caught by a Gale. Now TP from Tinker coming in. Ancient Apparition ulti gonna fly wide. Rocket's coming out, but he doesn't have much more mana than that. Damage coming out from Korok does get swapped in and actually allows him to get the last hit. Oh my gosh. The Vengeful Spirit tried to swap him away into a vulnerable position with the Venomancer and the Leshrac, but unfortunately, he was actually able to use that opportunity to get one more hit on the Morphling, bringing down Korok, which is pretty much an even trade. Bringing down the Tinker, bringing down the Morphling, those two heroes. And there we go. So, overall, Darkseer just trying to farm up, get whatever he can out of it. He doesn't have boots still, going to be looking maybe for phase boots for the unit walking, or possibly boots of travels to help Tinker out in the long range. They do have a Wex Invoker against them, so he might even be looking at Arcane Boots just to make sure that Chaos Knight has what he needs available. Tornado does go up, does hit on Puppey. He is cold snapped, he is dotted, he is just so much damage on him, he's going to drop down real quick. Chaos Knight trying to do some action. Dendi popping his Phantasms. Now he has his Armlet available, but he has Haste Rune. He wants some vengeance, but he's just going to get in over his head if he tries to run out away from tower support. So, does get his Armlet off, does a 2-second stun. He needs to pull back though. Just a little bit of harass damage, and but that's all he's going to be able to do. 22 seconds left on the ultimate cooldown, and it's just going to get healed up by Earn Charges along with Bloodstone. So, doing a nice aggression, and it's fun to watch, but overall it's not going to have much come of it no matter what he does specifically there. Did I see a medallion? No, it's an illusion bottle. But, yeah. Overall, very high pressure game. I mean, just 23 minutes. Navi doesn't disappoint with this. They pressure the towers, they pressure the entire map, and Quantic has been answering in turn very effectively. A lot of action on bottom lane. Chaos Knight, Dendi, not in the best spot, and he's going to drop down quick. Ancient Apparition is I'm just talking. The frozen ammunition from the Ancient Apparition left the opposition scattered. But anyways, they all get out alive, and that is not what the stand-in wants to see from his ultimates coming out there. Fortunately, he's nowhere near a Yules or anything like that, so I can't add too much more to the team fight other than a possible stun combined with Chaos Bolt. Tornado's still available there, and maybe EMP right after that. He has 2 seconds on his Invoke, but he's just kind of trying to fall back. He's that Force Staff, he's that mobility. Make sure Venomancer, Matrim's safe there too. So, overall, Action coming in from the smoked up Vengeful Spirit with phase boots. So mobile, if she could have just gotten that swap off, it could have been a bad spot. But Light of Heaven's very tanky, very durable anyways with that pipe. And just going to be falling back once more. Covering Korok, split push in the top lane, but now Havost, making sure, having none of that. Doesn't have any cooldowns available, but does have that sheep stick coming up in about 2,000 gold, which is surprisingly not too far off for him. He's doing very well with his farming. His CS is up to 128 here. And Adaptive Strike going to come out with the waveform. Just one more auto attack, but he's not. He doesn't have the movement speed. Boots traveled too fast, and he's going to try to replicate him. One more auto does drop him down. Oh my gosh, Tinker Illusion just doing just barely enough damage, and is going to finish him off. Leshrac getting a kill onto the stand-in Ancient Apparition. Now he gets killed himself, but Dendi is the sacrifice instead. Cold Snap on Puppey. He's nowhere to go with the damage over time. He's just going to get dropped down real quick, and even the Gale just make sure that's going to drop her. Triple kill for the Invoker, actually. So he just set it up. Nice kill for Morphling on the Tinker, but a 1v1 kill on the carries is not going to compare to the fact that their entire team just wiped them out. So, huge swing back for Quantic. It's exactly what they wanted to maintain pressure on this game and to move towards their late game stage. Like I said, after 30 minutes, that's when Manta style and a lot of the auto attack from Morphling is going to be kicking in, and that's exactly what they want to go for in this situation. So Ancient Apparition going to counter push or try to kill the Morphling. Apparently he opted for the Morphling attempt, but he's not going to even get close to hitting him there. And yeah, but yeah, Quantic swung wide in that fight. You can see the experience graph amazingly just going from almost even to well over 7,000 advantage. And gold graph, similar situation. So it was definitely Navi's game for quite a long time, but now Quantic pulling ahead, and with that with the play that they've been having, who can blame them? Just overall moving in the direction they want to be. The one thing that may change that situation is this Scythe device. With the disable, if they can chain disable the Morphling, he just can get bursted down pretty hard, and all he can do is morph. And that's BKB coming out from Leshrac, though. The Scythe will not be nearly as effective against that, as he will be able to avoid that. And Painted Gold kind of keeping that mobile coverage there. So overall, 3.5 second disable is still nothing to sneeze at, but overall they're going to have to get some really good ultimate combinations as well in order to make this happen. Wall of Replica especially. And they do get a pause real quick from Havost. He does have his boots. He should be looking, I'm actually not sure what he'd be opting for now. The stat shield was for early game, so really he's going to be upgrading his boots, maybe Arcanes, because of the, like I said, the Wex Invoker does a drastic amount of hurt on 2 Chaos Knight's mana. And surprisingly, actually, like he had these two, the Belt of Strength and the Boots of Speed, along with the Bracer for a while. So I'm like, okay, he's going Treads and for Drum, but then he had different things in mind. Just one of the basic stats that he really wanted, really hardcore, and now he has his Armlet. And that Armlet does put out a lot of damage pressure, but it also means that he doesn't have as much mobility as he'd like. I mean, the base movement speed on Chaos Knight is still insane, 325. I think that might be the fastest in the game. I think it is. But overall, Treads and Drum still really support your circumstance of being able to get right on top of people and chase them down. Overall, I think the supports on Quantic are playing extremely well, kind of covering that up and getting a lot of really good slows, high pressure. Cold Snap with a Gale and Poison Sting, very high damage as well. So, specifically. And Painted Gold, really, if his Bloodstone starts stacking pretty hard, which I completely believe it will once he finishes up this BKB, since he's only 200 away from it, he's going to be putting out a lot of damage there. And not only that, but it's not just right-click damage, which Light of Heaven can use his ultimate to swing back at the enemy. It's going to be just pure AoE magic damage, which only the Rubik can steal, which they did not pick up in this game. So it's really a lot of eyes on Havost trying to get the disables on Leshrac to focus him down, but with that BKB, assuming he can time it perfectly, or even just in generally appropriately, he can do a lot of damage to Chaos Knight and the rest, and that's why that pipe is so important from Darkseer. So all these teams, both these teams have really, really important team fight. All 10 players really have a role in every single one of their clashes. They have to do this, they have to do that. If they mess something up, it's going to give them more and more disadvantage in that situation. So not entirely sure what we're paused specifically. Painted Gold saying be a little bit more patient about it, but one way or another, moving along in the tournament. Just taking this opportunity, guys, to say thanks for watching, guys. My name's Blaze Inferno, at least my screen name is. And this is Blaze Casting. This is my channel. I'm very new to casting still. I'm not even 2 months into it, but enjoying it thus far. Still have a lot to work on, absolutely. But if you guys can leave me some kind of constructive criticism, feedback in any kind will be appreciated. And I just kind of want to work to improve myself and see if I can kind of be a talent in this field or not. Not generally something I'm used to, but I just love Dota and love the pro scene here. So hopefully I can keep on doing this. Maybe I'm going to get my stream started relatively soon, and would love if you can guys just let me know what I can work on so that I can be the best caster that you guys need. Anyways, so not a lot of nice farm coming out for the tanker, using that March machines, taking out those stacked ancients. Dendy going to take off the ancient dragon, ancient black drake, and they're just trying to keep up on their farm. But what they really got to start looking at is this Morphling has his Manta style now. Might be looking for, I mean, he could do a BKB against the long duration Chaos Bolts. I was thinking of Lincolns. Lincolns would be really nice against the Blind and the Chaos Bolt and that kind of thing. And the only throwaway spell they really have is this Enchantress's Enchant and the Sheep Stick, but that's not really throwaway either. So it could be very effective. But a nice action from Smoke coming in. Dendy going to start off with a Chaos Bolt. 3 seconds. Just burn him down real quick. There's nothing Korak can do to get out of this. Has a debuff on him. Waveform. Might have spoken too soon. Did not get the debuff from the Ancient Emperors, but he did get pulled in with that vacuum. Pulled in with that W, the Reality Rift, and brings down real quick. But BKB, Painted Gold with the Tornado coming in. Just so much damage coming out, but he's getting auto-attacked really, really hard. Pulse, the Nova coming out from the Venomancer. Has to get that Gale off. Did already. And they're just taking damage over time really considerably. But it might be enough. Chaos Knight he's just armleting as much as he can, but the damage from Brax pulling in, getting a monster kill, double kill. He did get that cold snap off. Does it not have the force staff to pursue for 3 seconds, and now they're kind of back and forth with it. He does have the soul ring. Actually, not sure why Brax isn't trying to man up on this. They're kind of challenge each other. 1v1 Tornado, nice. He's just trying to wait for that TP, trying to make sure that he has that advantage between the two. So he saw that tornado coming out, he knew he might get blinded, and he pulled back just in time. But with that Venom Ward vision, he knew he was going to TP right there specifically, and he was able to pick him off there. So triple kill, delayed triple kill I should say, from the Invoker. Brax playing that extremely well. Even though he's building a pipe right now, he can still opt for some auto attack damage, some scythe action shortly after that. But overall, he is definitely showing the fact that he has almost the most experience, and he is taking advantage of that fact, playing his skills really well with the cold snaps, the EMPs, the tornadoes. He's just really got some highlights on that Quaswex build. Probably see some deafening blasts coming in not too long as well, especially against the Phantasms of Chaos Knight. But overall, just putting out a lot of pressure and cleaning up extremely well. But overall, Korak just trying to get the farm they can. Did a lot of nice dodging that was able to pull him actually out of. He was still in a bad situation. He didn't get out, obviously, but he was able to pull the enemy team towards his allies when they had almost no cooldowns left at all. They spent so many cooldowns on Morphling trying to enable him to, and actually Smoke right before he replicates out. But they don't know if that was intentional, but they spent so many cooldowns on Morphling trying to bring him down that once the real team fight started, Korak's just going to look to burst down this ancient AA, and with that a couple of auto attacks and that adaptive strike, doesn't even need to pop Manta for it, just brings them down real quick. And now action going, Invoker just completely out of position there, and they capitalize on that real quick. It's like, get out of our jungle, what you doing? But and Tinker transitioned to bottom lane to push that out. Scythe coming up real quick, maybe 2 more creep waves or even if a tower even sooner, and they're gonna, once he gets that Scythe, it's gonna be kind of a change in his style, trying to make sure that he can keep that up as every time he rearms. But overall, I think the Morphling was playing really well in that last team fight, in the fact that he not only just pulled towards his allies, but also he dodged an Ancient Apparition ulti with a Lucky Waveform. I mean, obviously he was just spamming it until he got out of the stun, but the fortune shined on him in the fact that he was able to do that. But now they're doing the clear vision from Double Tornado coming in from Puppey. It needs to watch himself specifically, dodges a stun, but they're doing a lot of pressure to this Roshan. However, they're also really low HP. If they can actually, but the Invoker is down for a good period of time from the fact that he was in the middle of the jungle, and they're using that fact. They even steal the Lishrak replicant and send him right back. Now I believe Morphling can still replicate to this, which is interesting, but one way or another, Lishrak kind of doing his little illusion thing. However, they were able to bring Roshan down to half health. They're not able to do anything else with that. because I know that the Invoker is back up. He can get in there very fast with his amazing movement speed already there, and he's going to be looking to control this area now specifically. They got counter wards up, and they're covering that up, but smoke comes out from Na'Vi, and they're going to be looking at either a fight on tier 2 or a fight on Roshan, assuming that Quantic wants to pressure it. Deny on top lane from the Morphling, just kind of making sure that the lane doesn't get pushed out and automatically kill that by itself. They try to leave it for as long as possible before they have to deny it, but overall deny is still better than risking the last hit in any circumstance, except for tier 4 towers with super minions. I don't know. Anyways, but they're kind of just drawing the line a little bit. They do not have any more earn charges, so VS has to sit in this bad situation where pretty much she's just a walking swap stun. After that, there's nothing more she can do for the fight because she overall doesn't have that HP sustainability. Now Radiant did lose this tower here, which will give Tinker that scythe, and he's going to pick that up just now and teleport back to base, get a little bit more mana. No, he's going to actually pressure on the bottom lane. And here we go. So Venomancer get picked off by the Ancient Apparition. I'm sorry guys, I got to be a little bit quicker on these kills. They're just a very mobile team, and it's hard to keep up with it all, especially with trying to keep tabs on items and such. But overall, they did pick up the Venomancer back in this location here. And now they might be looking for the Roshan now that they don't have to worry about that Poison Nova whatsoever. His rank 2. And he's almost got that Aghanims. He just needs 800 more gold, and he has that Aghanim Scepter, which makes that Poison Nova even more of a pain to deal with. But he just brings out a salve so he can stay in the lane, using that Flying Courier and keeping himself regened. But it doesn't look like they want to do Roshan. It looks like they want to force the issue onto the middle lane and see if they can provide some damage in that direction. Scythe is picked up. As long as Tinker's not getting bursted down too hard, he can provide a lot of disables in this fight. And as in that Replicant Illusion gets knocked out. And yeah, just the creeps available. A Puppy trying to control. Gets the Wild King, gets the Ursa. And going to be looking at this tier 2 middle lane. Now Leshrac does have a BKB for still 9 full seconds, only used it once. And if he can utilize that to its full extent, then overall the only thing they can do to him is right click him down. And those auto attacks, the armlet's probably going to be the best thing for auto attacks because Tinker's mostly going to be focused on spamming those spells. Sunstrike just checking Roshan, making sure they're not doing it. They do not have any ward coverage right here. They have a Radiant ward. That's a Sentry ward, right? No, it's an Observer ward. So I guess they thought that they might smoke back into it, and they wanted to make sure that wasn't the case. So now they're pushing on the bottom tower, and really they need a really quick reaction with this tornado coming in. EMP going on to the Chaos Knight, drops down. Dendi doesn't have much mana at all, but does get double Arcane Boots, and he's perfectly fine. And some harass damage coming in from the Tinker, along with March Machines pushing down the tower. Double Tornado from Puppy, yet again, getting all the Wildkins in the world, and just gradually harassing down on like Painted Gold and the remainder of the team. Now they're actually not going to be able to maintain on this tower. They know that their main DPS is sitting at about half health, and they do not want that. They do not want that at all, and the tower is just going to be pressured down. There's nothing they can do about it but try to deny with the wards, and CK gets the last hit on that. Regeneration rune on top lane. Otherwise, just kind of utilizing that pressure right now. Na'Vi swinging back into it, definitely getting closer to closing the gap on their gold, but the experience still lies in favor of Quantic with those 6 kills on big, high experience heroes. And that's not what you want to see at all. It's interesting that Quantic has so much of an experience advantage despite the fact of not having a jungle lane and getting dominated so hard in mid. Kind of find that a little bit surprising, but overall you can see after a little bit of advantage from the Dire, they quickly swooped up and have been dominating experience ever since. So, fun game, very active, and definitely trying to just kind of, well, really the big thing with Tinker here is he's kind of drawing a line. He's saying, if you stay here, I'm going to pressure you with my near unlimited mana pool with the 14 mana regeneration and the Mass Soul Ring. And if you try to push in, we can always do our Light of Heaven Darkseer combo and just bring the hurt to you that way. So it's creating a difficult situation for Quantic to fight against, whether they're pushing a tower or whether Navi's pushing a tower or Quantic wants to. So really they're going to not be able to force the issue too much on their tier 2 towers, and they're just going to have to defend their base tower specifically and take advantage of their mobility, try to get a quick instant kill off. Morphling doing this thing, Korok waveforming up, then transition to bottom lane. He is actually going for the E-Blade now. He got that Manta style for the durability. He does get a lot of strength, a good amount of strength out of that, as well as mobility. And now he's able to actually pop the Ghost Scepter, or the Ethereal Blade, and do a lot of burst alongside that. And now action going in the middle lane. Vengeful Spear dropping out real quick. Vrax doesn't have much for this world either. BKB popped on Paint It, but he is actually in a good spot in the trees. He's doing a lot of AoE damage, bringing down with the Splitter. Dendy's going to drop down Light of Heaven too, and Korok's just trying to bring down as much as he can. Does not have any more mana though, and neither does Paint, and that's going to be a bad situation for them to pull in. He does have a lot of mana regeneration though, 20 mana regen, but I think they're going to fall back except... Oh, Replicant, never mind. So overall, covering that very well. Back and forth, Hvost picking up a couple kills, but overall, the loss of Dendy and the Darkseer, he did get the wall off, but it did not replicate very many illusions, and so honestly, it's not that big a deal one way or another. Aghanim Scepter looking for that on the wall, and that'll improve the damage that the illusions do overall. But Pain Girl just farming and farming, getting possibly a Scythe, possibly a Linken's, like I was saying before. It's a great item against this team. But yeah, actually kind of surprised that Korok's going to be picking up this Ethereal Blade. I'm not saying it's a bad pickup. He has to watch himself though. Mobile Tinker, looking for a sheep. If he can get that sheep off, nope. Going to get the waveform out and going to be looking for a TP. So Canada has no vision there until the tornado comes up. Too late, and he Force Staff out he rearmed out a Force Staff, but not going to get too much out of that. So overall, I would say, yeah, Quantic's been playing this really close to chest really well, and they do have the scalability of the late game. How much more thing can do with that Ethereal Blade remains to be seen. I mean, he can do so much powerful burst damage, and the fact that he has over 160 agility, he's going to have over 200 with the actual item completed, and that can add a lot to him specifically. And that can do, if you have 400 damage burst with a 40% increase in magic damage received, and then you follow that up with a, what is it? It's a 2 times coefficient multiplier as well, so that's going to be 400 more magic damage, and it just kind of does a really quick burst. If you're looking at the health pools, Enchantress only has 1200, and yeah. So if you're looking at the NH person only has 1300. So with this burst combo, once the Ethereal Blade finishes, you're looking at about, assuming waveform, you're looking at about 1100 damage just from the combo alone. And Enchantress is not going to be able to stand up with that once he mantas out of his Ethereal Blade debuff and goes for the just pure auto attack strike. But Smoke kind of going on both active individuals, specifically Navi trying to catch somebody in the jungle. Might be just looking to push now because they have nobody to go for. They only have a Replicant, which is not going to be a big deal whatsoever, while Tier 2 is getting pushed off by the entire Radiant team. That Edict doing so much damage along with Morphling's auto attacks, and it's going to drop down real quick. Roshan, they say, okay, well, you just picked up our top lane. You don't have the mobility. You don't have a tower to TP down here. We can just take down this Roshan really quickly and even have the neutrality tank. So overall, we do have a TP coming out from Tinker. Kind of building up, he's going to teleport right back to a Chen minion, or Enchantress minion, sorry, and kind of use that. Now, who's the Aegis going to? Is it going to Hvost, or is it going to go to Dendy? Dendy, Chaos Knight picks it up, does have a lot of tank ability now, not only with the BKB, and actually he has 400 gold to go for the BKB. Once he gets that, he has Drum and Armlet as well. That gives him a lot of strength, a lot of health, a lot of damage, and that's exactly what he needs to really apply the pressure back in the right direction. So overall, the 4 second stunts can be extremely devastating, and the fact that Morphling's not going for a BKB or a Lincoln Sphere. That's a nice, actually, 4-step swap going on Dendy. Gale coming out, Ancient Apparition ulti coming in, but Dendy's going to drop down, uses Aegis immediately. Now the pipe is active, Blood of Heaven in a bad spot. Does have his search coming in just a second, but they're going to focus on the Dendy. Dropping him down the Ethereal Blade. Yeah, the Ethereal Blade doing so much damage to Dendy. Dropping him down really quickly, but he actually he got out. Wow. I'm so amazed that he was able to get out of that with the Phantasms and everything. They weren't able to focus him hard enough. But Puppy in a bad spot, and he's going to be sacrificed along with Ancient Apparition. But yeah, no, Dendy. And again, pause for the Puppy DC. Hopefully sometime within the next 50 seconds. But anyways, Dendy actually surviving with that. The Poison Nova being a non-fatal dot. And overall, he actually was able to survive. And Light of Heaven too. He's actually counter pushing pretty well right now. So they did lose the Aegis, and that's extremely unfortunate, but that pick-off could have been a lot worse. And Tinker pulling a Leshrac. picking up him off in middle lane. And now Morphling trying for some... Oh, he's just replicating back. But Light of Heaven chasing down this other Darkseer. Darkseer versus Darkseer action going on right here. And trying to bring him down, but does succeed. This is the greater of the two. Mainly because he's actually existing. But anyways, Korok just trying to kind of keep that mobility up. Farm all over the place. Uses that replicant to just jump around. And now he sold to Zakila, picking up another Ultimate Orb. Is going to be looking for either a Scotty or a Lincoln's, like I've been saying all game long. But anywho, BKB is going to be finished up in just one more neutral or 10 seconds, whichever comes first. Never know with Dendy. But that 4-staff initiation was actually... The 4-staff was from Invoker, sending Vengeful Spirit in range to Nether Swap, and that's just a really, really good coordinated play that put Dendy in that really bad situation, lost him his Aegis, and cost his 2 supports their lives. So, overall, one thing is just, unfortunately, they, although they have a lot of damage coming out, it hasn't been really like concise. It hasn't been a big burst combo of like a Vacuum, Ancient Apparition, Tinker Rocket, and Phantasm's wailing away. It's been a bunch of stuff all kind of staggered out, but overall Na'Vi has to get their team fight just to land in a very high pressure circumstance, take out a couple supports really quickly, pop the pipe on the dots, and go from there. Just focus, focus, focus. But Tinker has his Lincoln Sphere, which he definitely benefits from quite a bit, especially against that Cold Snap, and a couple abilities from Morphling and Vengeful Spirit. Oh, don't know why I don't have any stats up. 248 on last hits, Korok farming away. Showing how he's just a really good carry player, stays mobile, keeps that CS up, and he definitely has the highest... Wow, actually, Tinker, despite his low reduced CS, 236, his KDA is much better than Morphling's, the 7 kills and 9 assists, so he's actually picking up a much higher GPM, or not that much higher, but 11, when you're looking at 435. Still pretty good. Mantis-style illusions just kind of run around, or is it Illusion Rune? One way or another. They're covering him up while he decides whether he's going to TP scroll out or just pop the replicant. Getting the replicant away, and now he's going to pop up and say hi to his friends. Now, Painted Gold does have 2,400 gold. Whether he's not going to go for a Lincoln himself or what specifically remains to be seen. He could go for that Scythe, like I said. Really good pickup there, but we'll have to see if once he gets that 2,700, or he might just want to save for buyback, because it is transitioning into past 43 minutes into the game, and lives are so much more important here. You're going to be looking at buybacks back and forth from the two players, or two teams, when they do drop down, because especially with the Boots Travels that are available, and possibly the replicant from Morphling, the replicant doesn't die when he dies, as far as I understand it, so he should be able to jump back into the fight if he has that replicant up and buys back, but obviously no gold for it at the moment. Puppy almost finished up with his Agnum Scepter. Venos should have it now. Yep, haven't kept up with that too well, but overall, they're trying to keep that pressure up, and that's what they need to do. Roshan respawning in about 5-6 minutes, plenty of time, and in the meantime, they're going to be looking at keeping their Tier 3 covered here. Now, actually, if Quantic really wants to go for a push, they can, but they need some really good setup from Brax specifically. He's got the Forward Spirit combo of 4 Quals, 4 Exhort. He does have his Tornado and Cold Snap EMP that he's been running all game long, but overall he can do a lot of physical damage now along with that if he does pop the Forward Spirits, and then kind of clean up with an Ice Wall, and that'll be pretty close to the game now. I don't know if he wants to go for an Agnum Scepter or not. That does add a lot to his invoke potential. The fact that it's a 5-second cooldown going into a 2-second cooldown makes it so that he can just really chain cast the spells, assuming he's not silenced or disabled. But like I said, there's a lot of disables coming out from Na'Vi, and they have the potential to shut this Brax down. He's got the pipe, mitigates a lot of damage, whether it's an AA ulti or just rockets or the Darkseer's Iron Shell Vacuum. But overall, they do have the pipe available. Not the most crucial item, I would say, but overall still a good item. Still a good pickup there, and they're going to utilize that the best they can. Havos does have that Lincoln's and that Sheep, but they're just kind of playing the farm game. Both teams saying, okay, we'll just focus on our carries, focus on the Shrek Morphling, focus on Chaos Knight Tinker, trying to get everything that they need to benefit. And that should be Scythe on the Leshrac, farming up, Painted Gold, covering up the Ancients really well with Edict and auto attack damage, stacking them, perfect timing, and now he should have that Scythe. So two Scythe of Ice on the board, Dendi does have his BKB. It's at 10 seconds, has not used it yet whatsoever, but Leshrax is more dwindling. It's like 7 actually. 7 seconds. He used it 3 times already, and therefore it's going to be less and less effective as it goes along. But still, that Pulse Nova damage, very considerable. Does not have Aghanim Scepter, but it's still going to be doing 177 damage per second. Accompanying with that, with all the damage coming out from EMP Tornado, and that'll knock off the pipe really quickly for that Poison Nova to start bringing the hurt as it goes along, especially with the Aghanims. Bringing the damage, magic damage, all the way up to, is this, I'm not sure if it actually says it. Yeah, it says Scepter damage is 108 times 16, so very considerable there. You're looking at really 1600 damage. Is that? Wow, I actually didn't know a Scepter did that much for him, but of course it's mitigated by magic armor, but it still applies a lot of pressure, and that's something that they definitely need the pipe for. Alright, so Gem of True Sight is available on the Venomancer, kind of using that for counter ward action. Nothing really to detect as far as heroes go, but just kind of trying to get as much map control as possible. That's really what they want to benefit from. Get that quick initiation. Not seeing too much from the Ethereal Blade from the Morphling. I mean, his auto attack damage is very considerable with the Manta style Eye of Scotty. He might be looking for a Butterfly or a Satanic next. Either one of them will be very important for what he does next. But overall, actually, Painted Gold in a bad position. Dendi pulls him in with the W, but he is BKB'd up for about 5 more seconds. Dendi pops his own BKB. They're trying to do some damage pressure out here. Deafening Blast pulling away from the supports. Dendi going non-stop on these guys. Ancient Apparition actually not getting his ulti off on anybody but the Morphling debuff. And he is going to try to do as much as he can. Ethereal Blade already popped off. Enchantress taken out by that. Now the swap comes off. Damage coming out. Matrim getting knocked down. Venomancer gone out of the fight, but does have his Nova ticking. And that's going to be dropping down Havos really quickly unless he can TP out real quick. Does do so. And he's going to be safe. Along with that, Ancient Apparition did get picked off back in the middle of that. Was a quick cluster of a lot of stuff going on. Not too complicated though, because obviously full throttle for the Leshrac, just trying to put out as much damage as possible, and that's going to give them the opportunity to try to push down this tier 1 here. They might be transitioning towards the top. It does have BD protection is disabled on it, and they are able to do some damage to it specifically if they can take it up nicely. But Havos trying to do some pressure, gets his Lincoln taken off and gets sheeped in return, so he turns into a piglet, and Vengeful Spirit, who was the one who was doing the offensive swap onto Tinker, gets picked off as well. So buyback coming from Tinker, and I guess that's the only buyback, but Darkseer did get the kill on Vengeful Spirit there, and she's going to be down for 35 seconds. Actually pretty low level, only level 13, only has a rank 2 swap, and that's not going to be as beneficial as she wants it to be. Dendi, very mobile, very ready to take down this Painted as soon as he can, but with that, he's just going to TP scroll out with the BKB. So many graphical effects I didn't even realize he was TPing except for the channel bar. But yeah, no way to stun him out of that, and now he's actually probably down to a 5-second BKB. And yeah, that's going to be no more than that until he rebuys it if he chooses to do so. Morphling doing just huge burst combo with his Ethereal Blade, waving in, doing a lot of burst damage on the Enchantress, really low HP, but it's not a good trade. He has no mana left, nothing else to do, and he's going to get dropped down, split among everybody, and Roshan's back up. Terrible timing for that, in my opinion. Sorry, Korok, it's great to pick off an Enchantress, but you got to know Navi's right there with him, and with that 90-second cooldown, does not have money for buyback, and that's going to cost them so much. They might only lose Roshan at tier 2, but this is their carry. They have to be, you know, not throwing it out. And overall, that's going to give a token to Chaos Knight. So not only you're losing the life of your Morphling as far as his gold goes, giving it to the other team, but you're also giving the extra life to Dendi. He's going to have so much more potential in the next team fight, assuming he doesn't get picked off like last time. And overall, just not the best play by Korok. Yeah, it's great to pick people off, and that's the huge advantage of Ethereal Blade, is bursting somebody really quickly. But if you don't have a means of escape, it's not worth it whatsoever. Whitehaven did finish up his Aghanim, so a lot of damage. Even that Morphling's right click going to be sent right back at him and going to cause him a lot of grief there. Other than that, Invokers and Leshrac's damage is mostly magic based still at this point in time. He is ranking that Exhort. He's going to be looking for some Meteor, Deafening Blast combos coming up in not too long at all. And after that, and probably loves just kind of goofing around, stealing Replicant and Illusions. It's like, hey, you got a Replicant of Leshrac? Nope, my buddy. He's gonna farm for me. And maybe a love story. The 2 centaurs, or whatever you want to call a female centaur lady. But anyways, the 2 centaurs. The love that could never be. But then Morphling created a copy for him, just for her. And they proceed to run around the jungle until he suddenly dies in 2 seconds. But yeah, focusing on the game, because that's always what we're here for, is the mad, awesome gameplay of these 2 extremely professional teams as we're approaching the 51-minute mark. Is just really gearing up for what they can do. It's every single second counts down to the next big team fight, which can be extremely decisive. Everybody's pulling their gold for a buyback. Tinker actually buying up his Shivas if he can, but he's not gonna. If he hits 2,700, he's probably still gonna hang on to it until he has the full Shivas, because he wants that buyback money. If he gets picked off too quickly and he only has 2,200 health against this Morphling that can do, like I said, 1,200 right off the bat of burst and a lot of auto attack after the fact. Yeah, it's not the position they want to be in. So everybody's saving for buyback. Level 25 actually coming on Morphling. Is there anybody else? Yeah, 25 on 2 heroes now. The Tinker and Morphling picking up the 25th level, maxing out their stats, maxing out their potential there. And now it's all about the gold, all about the items. But overall, that death does cost them 25 times 30. You're looking at a 750 gold death combined with 1,800 gold buyback cost. Very considerable, and that's not something you want to be having to worry about. And that's going to be putting a lot of hindrance on your items overall. Double damage on Chaos Knight, very dangerous, but he's not going to be smacking at anything but the air, and the fact that it only has about 10 seconds left on it. And there's nobody home. Now, Radiant finally realizing that they might be in a position where they're going to be giving up a backdoor on a tower. Needs to start looking at TPing back. And they do all have TP scrolls as far as I can see, but they're going to be forced to use them in a matter of seconds. But right now, everybody's just smoked up, trying to get themselves in a position where they can gain card. They're actually right under an observer ward of the Radiant, but Tinker's the only one that seems to be there. And if they TP back and try to go on this Tinker, they're in for quite a surprise right now. But instead, Puppey does show himself, does do the enchanted, and is trying to do his own little individual push, because they know that the Radiant is going for the tier 3. So Puppey is the one that does not have a TP scroll, and they're going to go for a base trade. Light of Heaven does. Dendi does not, and Ancient Apparition does. So overall, Dendi and Enchantress are forced to stay here unless they start swapping some items, and that's not where they want to be overall. But they don't have to defend it, because we are seeing the Radiant team fall back. Korok actually really low HP, but the Tinker doesn't know who's where, and has to worry about whether or not the Morphling's going to be too much of a threat. He does shape him up and do a lot of damage to him, but he's not going to go for the kill. Just too much risk out there. Ancient Apparition does go out, Pain only has a couple seconds left on his BKB, dropping down, does get a stun off, and bringing down the Ancient Apparition real quick with Dendi. Tons of damage coming out from him with that armlet, bringing in Pain and Gold right back in with the Reality Rift, and he's going to drop down too. Chaos Bolt, only 3 more seconds, he does that, armlet coming back up. Korok brings down the Enchantress, hates that Enchantress, burning her down with the Ethereal Blade. But now, Dendi doing some retaliation damage. He needs to double armlet, but the damage from Cold Snap and the disable as well is going to keep him stuck there as well. Now, can he get out is the question. He does have the damage coming in from, no, just no way at all. Pain getting his buy back in, getting the revenge kill on Dendi, and actually Morphling getting the kill, but Pain Gold setting up with the Split Earth 2-second stun, which enabled them to burn him down without a single chance that he would be escaping there. History unavailable on top lane if anybody cares. But 4,000 gold to the Invoker, only has a single charge of drum left, not too big a deal there. And it looks like Tinker might be looking for his Shivas in no time at all. Sold his Soul Ring. And yeah, he's sending the Cory out, picking up that Mystic Staff along with the recipe. He's going for it. Now 2,700 minus his current. He's actually, yeah, that's all his gold. He has no buyback available when he picks that, so he's kind of going for an all-in. Wants to spam that Shivas, keep that, and have that Intellect available for the pure fact of having tons of mana. And so that's going to be able to give another tool in his arsenal, put out a lot of damage overall magic in an AoE. But it is going to put him in a very dangerous position. The fact that if he gets picked off, if he gets in a bad position whatsoever, has been really good about that so far. Havos playing very carefully and very precisely. But overall, if he does get put in a bad situation, he will not have any buyback, and he will have a very long death timer indeed. So 7 charges on the Bloodstone. Leshrac probably needs to be looking at upgrading to Boots of Travel. But then he also should be looking. He has a couple other items he can look at. Like I said, the Aghanims, Lincoln, stuff like that. Ancient Apparition going on ulti on top lane, kind of just doing counter push action. Lands on the Venomancer, so he's going to be taking damage along with the Vengeful Spirit, but not the biggest deal in the world. Tinker continues to push, going 1v1 against Korok. Now he 4-stabs out. He does have all his items back up, but Korok going to have to strength morph a little bit. But he does have his adaptive waveform, and Phos is just going to fall back. So, fun little 1v1 action, but nobody's going to be able to kill because it's just way too dangerous for them. Specifically, neither one will be able to buy back, and they are both level 25. So, battle the carries, but it's just there's too much risk to actually commit fully to it. And it's just kind of good practice. Really, really important to make sure that they don't just go way too aggressive on that. However, Corey are going to pick up the recipe, go grab a Vitality Booster, and that means a heart for the Chaos Knight, and Dendy's going to be out of gold as well. So, as much as I said, everybody's going to be saving for buyback. You look at the current gold available, total, I don't know hockey for that because I don't use it ever. But anyways, yeah, current gold, pretty much nobody at a high level is going to have money for buyback. It just costs way too much. Morphling's getting close to it, but he's going to focus on getting that butterfly instead. So, overall, no, they're not going to have it available if they do die. But overall, so yeah, Morphling just got enough gold that if he does die, he will still have it 750 plus 1889. But other than that, everybody else is in a pretty bad spot as far as that goes. And he's going to be possibly buying something right here with the butterfly, or he might just be sticking with the dance. What is it? Eagle Song, duh. Sorry, mind blank there. Not a big deal. Looking at trying to pick off. Enchantress does get taken off, and Dendy gets turned into a sheep. He does not have the BKB up yet. He does have that heart, lots of HP, but he's going to burst it down hard. He cannot use that BKB. So much cold snap action. Finally gets his Phantasm off, but so low HP already. Tinker under half HP. Light of Heaven not much as well. Gets stunned out, and even the illusion damage is not doing enough retaliation. Ancient Apparition drops down 2. Puppy in a really bad spot, and just a little bit more auto attack damage on him, and he's going to drop down 2. Tries to finish off the Venomancer, and does with the illusion help from Darkseer. That's still 4 heroes down. Like I said, no buybacks, and this could be close to a good game. If they choose to push in, they can take down middle racks, and they can be looking at Roshan, which is respawning in just under 2 minutes. But Havost is up, trying to do the thing that he does best, which is March Machine spam. If he can just 4-stab out in just a second, which he, oh crap, no, Havost, no, he does have buyback just barely. But he only had 300 gold left to spare. But he did get picked off. He did get cold. Evoker did a 4-staff, cold snap, and Morphling was able to pick him off, and he could not 4-staff in time, and that cost him so much money. He does not have his buyback anymore, and all he was able to do, he was able to defend the racks. The permanent March Machine very strong in that sense, taking off any of the creeps that are trying to push it, so that the tower stays alive as long as possible, and then delays their push as much with the harass. But overall, Morphling has finished up his butterfly and is getting pretty close to his item cap. Once he gets buyback gold, then he'll be able to sell his TP scroll and treads, get the boots of travel, and then he'll be looking for probably a Satanic as his last item, or you could go for Daedalus or MKB or BKB. I mean, there's a couple other just really hard physical auto attack items, but overall, Satanic gives the lifesteal aspect of it is very beneficial in the fact that he's going to be hitting like a truck, and you can always strength morph when you need to, when you're taking too much damage, when you're disabled, etc. But overall, Vengeful Spirit, not doing too good on items, just kind of sitting happy at the fact that he got level 16. That's really what he wants. Very long range swap potential. Mikey doing really good with that. But overall, as far as items goes, he still knows that he's a sacrificial lamb. When you're an hour into the game and you only have effectively an urn, a wand, and a point booster, you're not going to be living for very long, especially against this team lineup right here. So Enchantress doing a little bit better on HP. And with this, if he can pop off the mech during the combo, Morphling will not be able to give him off, even with the substantial amount of agility he has picked up, looking at over 300 now. But overall, Dendy has to watch himself again, getting swapped in a bad spot, and there's nothing much more for it. Does not have buyback, and that could be good game. Dendy just trying to get a little bit more CS there, but the long range initiation from Vengeful Spirit, and with the Roshan up, free Aegis, free cheese, and that's going to be the last item. No TP scroll on Morphling, but he's not too worried about it. Havos not being able to focus on it too much. Morphling going to pick up that painted gold, getting the cheese, and with his regular boots, going to be looking at pushing in there. So A lot of pressure. The tower does go down, so they're going to have to get TP back if they want these Rex to stay alive. There's nothing to stop them. And now Invoker is falling back. Or Provost. Oh no, that's offensive. Oh my gosh, no, that was a TP from the enemy. Boots of Travel, so now they're going to have to fall back, get a couple TPs in there. Havos baiting that out and preventing them from being able to push this up. Combined with the bait from Havos along with the wall of Replica in middle lane, they're possibly able to delay it as long as Dendy allows it. But Swap coming in again. Cold Snap just so much. He cannot get his ultimate off. He cannot get his Boots of Travel off. And despite his Sheep Stick, he's going to drop down. Just a little bit more damage from that Urn Charge. And he has no buyback. Now, he has some gold, but he does not have... Oh, he does, actually. It was only a few minutes cooldown and they're actually going to survive. And unfortunately, they just lost their ranged Rax. And Dire Bottom melee. Oh, wow, okay, that's where it is. Oh, my bad. Okay. So apparently, meanwhile, while this is going on, the Morphling, Leshrac, and Venomancer pushing in the bottom lane. I was looking at mid, but actually was able to push in the bottom lane and take down those last Rax at only the cost of the Venomancer. So that was just based on the fact that Dendy wasn't there. Darkseer threw up his ultimate on middle lane. So what are Enchantress, Ancient Apparition, and Darkseer going to do when Darkseer doesn't have an ultimate? They're going to just try to pick off one of the low HP heroes. So unfortunately, capitalizing on that, but team fight going off. Ancient Apparition finally getting a really good one off. Korok can heal though and replicates out. Now Mikey in a bad situation. Dendy not going to be able to get the Reality Rift off and slowed so slow against this ice wall, and the Surge is going to pull him out of it. But now they need to be looking at Korok. The Reality Rift does come out this time out of mana, and he was just in a bad spot, could not get out of that. Buyback, oh no, Aegis coming up 2 seconds. Painted Gold doing a lot of damage with rank 12 Bloodstone on his Pulse Nova. Puppy getting bursted down from Korok. Korok's just trying to burn him down real quick, but he does not finish him off. Instead finishes off the Dendy. Chaos Knight's going to drop down, and only Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit buys back. Can't get back in, but Puppy's going to call a good game. Did he just drop down too many times and cannot? I mean, he has so much farm, he has so much tank ability, but his BKB is limited. His BKB is only 6 seconds, and he can't have it up forever. And they just focused their CC really well, and Quantic played that really powerfully. Good game, well played for them. Puppy calling GG, and they're just going to have to finish off this Rax to seal the deal. Light Heaven vacuuming in, but again, a lot of damage from Painted Gold, from Brax even. Just this level 25 Invoker, when you get that level 25, even without Aghanims, you have so many utilities in your arsenal and that do have such high damage. And Invoke's going to drop down in just a matter of seconds as well, trying to TP back. Sunstrike! Finish it off. So, triple kill for Brax. Well played on his Invoker, very mobile, doing exactly what he needed to capitalize on the enemy team. And those cold snaps, man, ranking that quals pretty hard, and definitely got the benefit of it in the fact that his team was able to put out either damage over time pressure or just a lot of auto attack really hard on him, and the cold snaps were able to do so much. Set it up, and Korok, yeah, he was going for the Satanic, but he ended up not needing it, because overall he just put out a lot of damage pressure. That's going to be a good game for them. So overall, I think the Na'Vi played it really well. They kind of fluctuated a little in the mid of the game, but they didn't really get their teamfight ultimate set up really hard. AA always clipped 1 or 2 heroes, great, but the Darkseer, Vacuum Replica, Ancient Apparition ulti never really popped. And unfortunately, although they had really good early game, it did not seal the deal. They got forced back. They have the scoreboard here. I'll actually show you guys the goal graph real quick. And here's the experience graph, and you can just kind of see the tone of the game overall. But well played by Quantic. This was a best of 3, so going into game 2, just a minute. But thanks for watching, guys. As I mentioned before, this is Blaze Casting presentation. Send me some feedback on the comments, and see you guys next time. Thanks.